All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to walk you through what we believe a proper warm-up would look like for a golfer who has arrived at the golf course and set themselves up for success on the course that day. We're going to distinctly talk about the mistakes they make when they arrive at the golf course and what we believe people who are professional in their approach and very diligent in their approach and the difference that can make for the round ahead. All right, guys, so we're going to base this on what we believe is an accessible warm-up routine for every golfer. We just happen to be one of Canada's top golf facilities, and over there we have a gym, and here we have one of the best warm-up practice facilities in the country, but we're not going to base it on what we have around us. I could have started today by going in there for a stretching routine. I could have lifted some light weights, just really priming your body, but that's not going to be realistic. And if it happens to be the case that you do have access to that, fantastic, and please utilize it wherever you can. But today's warm-up that I'm going to be talking about as what I would recommend for the average golfer is going to be very basic, going to be things that really any golfer could do. And we've done previous videos on the value of using things like stretch bands and just being able to properly warm the body up before you play. I carry this with me, everywhere I go. It takes up no space, no weight in the bag itself, but I'll start every single warm-up routine I have with the bands. I'm not really someone who likes to do a lot of stretches, like touching your toes, a lot of the kind of lengthening of muscles. I've never really believed that kind of changing the length of muscles, if you feel like you start off stiff and then you start kind of creating a lot of range of motion, I don't really like. I like to kind of retain that state, but I like to start to change and implement movement patterns that will benefit us on the course. So I'll always start off with bands, just really opening up the shoulders, really, and we've got, again, videos where we've done that in the past. I'll put that over my back and really start to get the chest to open up and really start to get a feel for it. Then I'll work into more golf-specific exercises. Take the band under your lead foot, and I'll start to work into some backswing stretches and really be very specific about what I feel it is that we're going to do sort of on the day. So even better if you happen to warm up and you've got a cart near you or you're going to be riding this particular day, I really like to use the bands and tie them onto one of the sort of pillars or posts within the golf cart. And I'll do some internal and external shoulder rotation stretches, things like that as well. I'll do a little bit of sort of tie it on. I'll do a little bit of rotational sort of movements that really start to kind of warm up and prime the core for what we're about to do. So once I feel that the body's warmed up, you've got a nice sort of stretch, you've done certainly some, never forget the wrists, okay? Never really forget those. You've got to make sure that those are warmed up too. Start small and start slow. I think even if you watch the best players in the world, I loved watching Tiger warm up at Augusta. Everything about what he was doing when I would watch the best player in our generation warm up, everything was very calm. I could have looked at his heart rate monitor and I guarantee it was just absolutely flatlined the whole time. There was no rushing, there was no panic, there was no sort of, feeling from him that he was in any way out of control of the situation. We're going to pick a target. We're going to be very specific. I've got a little yellow post out there that I've kind of identified. I really like to incorporate a little bit of routine. Come out there and look at it. And I'm resetting every time. Coming back, I'm giving my brain the message where the target is. Nicely set up, starting with very, very short swings to start with. Working through the wedges. Getting a little bit more comfortable with increasing the speed, increasing the range of motion as we go along. I will make a conscious effort at this point to change the direction of of the target for me. In this case, I've just spotted, I've got a gap wedge I've spotted out there about 100 yards. Really, really nice target for me. I'll come back, reset my setup position. Really just getting connected to the way the strike feels, the rhythm of your golf swing for that day. The one thing I'm really being mindful not to do here is be in any way position orientated, technical in how I do this. I'm trying to prime myself for how I'm going to perform on the golf course. And I'm making sure what I do here in the warm-up is not a practice session. Be very clear to distinguish how you practice and how you warm up. They are not the same. Be very clear about that. That's something I think is a really important one today. Again, reset your target. We're just getting into some slightly longer swings. Okay, so we've primed ourselves, we've hit a few wedges, we've changed targets, we've started to implement a routine. What we commonly see when we observe golfers on the range is, as we said, that rushed demeanor, that look of trunk slam, they're looking at their watch, they've maybe only got 8 minutes before they're teeing off, and they're trying to turn a warm-up into 5 minutes. And we know that's the reality of life sometimes, but I've already come in and I've hit 4 or 5 really nice crisp partial wedges. I've changed my target. I've grabbed gap wedge for me 120 yard club. I've not tried to hit it full straight away, but I've hit another 4 or 5 wedges, really getting up to speed, starting to lengthen the feel of my swing, starting to get control of where low point is in strike. And I've hit 8 to 10 shots at this point, and I'm starting to feel much more comfortable with my golf swing at this point. So from here, I'll go from gap wedge into 8-iron. So changes a little bit of the intent of how we're going to swing. I think that's something that people might forget is hitting a wedge and hitting a 4-iron, you have completely different intentions when you're hitting those shots. One is very much a feel shot. One is very much a shot that involves a lot of speed and dynamics. So again, changing direction. I found another really great target out to the left here that looks like it's about 160-ish yards away. And none of this should be rushed, guys. None of this should be standing there raking ball after ball. There should be a distinct reset between shots. As I said, I always like to come back in, reconnect with the target, right? There's nothing about this today. I'm not rehearsing any practice swings. I'm really not trying to be overly technical. Okay, so working through that. So I've hit some partial wedges. I've hit some full wedges. I've hit a mid to short iron, 8-iron. I work then into 5-iron. That's the next one in the bag for me. Again, take a scan. Really nice target out there. Looks like it's about 200 yards away. Get a little bit of trouble front right, and I'm priming myself for the golf course. What do I see? The wind's a little bit out the right today. I'm starting to work with the conditions that I'm exactly going to experience when I'm out on the course. Okay, guys, one little nugget that I'll add in that I think is important when you are warming up is remember what you're here for, and that's to warm up. The quality of the shots that you hit relative to the target you're hitting them to are based on multiple variables. It could be the golf ball. We're very fortunate here that we have good range balls, but some places, maybe the range balls are a little bit indifferent, and maybe the dimple pattern's a little worn down, whatever it may be, and you start to see the ball do some funny things that really, if you are picking the right golf ball and consistently picking the same golf ball, if you watched the video last week, you should be seeing the golf ball do the same thing consistently. You're not going to mitigate hitting bad shots, but you should be able to or you shouldn't have to judge how far the ball's going or the shape the ball is traveling, and expect the ball in the course to do the exact same thing. So when you're warming up, take the time at that point to hydrate, to get some food. If you carry a bar or you maybe prepared something for the round that can sustain you for 4, maybe more hours out there. Don't wait till you're on the course to have some water, to have some food. Don't wait till you're hungry, till your blood sugar levels have dropped and maybe you start to feel a little bit kind of lightheaded, or you start to feel you get a little bit of the kind of shakes from low blood sugar. Try to establish that before you go. I'll always carry some stuff in the bag, and I'll always have some water. So nice to kind of break up the hitting between shots, and also preparing yourself where you can keep a very, very even, very level state all through the day when you're on the course. You hear me talk about that a lot, and it's staying very even. I think you'll hear the best golfers in the world all talk about never getting high, never too low. That's more than just your emotions. That's your physical state. It is also your mental state. And we're trying to prime that level of control, that level of calmness for the whole day ahead. Okay, so we've been warming up now for about probably 10 minutes. We've hit some partial wedges, gap wedges, 8 irons, 5 irons. We've hit 4 to 5 shots with each club. This is not a range session, and we're certainly not turning it into one by any means. I would love for a warm-up, a comprehensive warm-up, especially the on-range portion, to not be more than 20 minutes. I don't think you need more than 20 minutes to get fully warmed up. There'll be cases where people will say that they feel like they need marginally less. Maybe 15 minutes is good. There'll be people who say maybe a little bit more is fine for them too. That's okay. But in general, if we were to sort of say the meat of the bell curve, 20 minutes on the range hitting golf balls, probably around 30 golf balls, and about 20 minutes would be ideal for most golfers. So as we work into the woods, and I'll start with mini driver first, something that I'll hit both on the ground and off of a little tee. I'll start with this one because I'm really, really comfortable with it. I will tend to pick out, if I don't have a fairway target, I'll pick out sort of, two points that we can use as sort of goalposts. We'll certainly try to get wind out the right again, so you'll be trying to be mindful of taking that into the account. Okay, so by the time we get to the head cover golf clubs, really tempo has been set, our rhythm is in a really, really nice place. That's why we start with the wedges and we start with the shorter clubs. We really are establishing rhythm and building speed. By the time we get to these clubs, we should be ready to swing them. And it's not that the first swing you make has to be your 100% max out swing, but you should certainly feel like your range of motion has increased and you've got a really, really good tempo set for the day. And in the instance that you're on the range warming up and you do start to hit it a little bit squirrely, you start to struggle a little bit with your game, don't panic. Don't start trying to change the rhythm of the warm-up, bringing in more balls because you're running out of time. Remember, the purpose of the warm-up is to warm up. It is not to swing the club a certain way or hit that one good drive that makes you think, okay, that was a great one. Once you get on the golf course, the round will play out how it plays out. There's not a lot you can do with that other than warm up. So many golfers have talked about some of their best ever rounds have been after some of their worst ever warm-up sessions. So just always remember, even Tiger Woods, Justin Thomas, both of those guys have talked at length about some of their best rounds have followed some of their worst warm-up sessions. So don't panic, stick to the routine. The more this becomes a routine, the more that you will trust it also. You'll have days where you don't warm up good, but you play good. And you'll have days where you warm up great and you don't play so good. You'll just know that the warm up is just to get warmed up. Okay guys, so one last thing that I would like to add about the range warm up session is working through a little bit of shot shaping and just seeing what it is that you've got in the locker that particular day. you don't want to get to the golf course to find out what you do and don't have in terms of shot shapes that particular day. I've found myself many, many times in the golf course where I've stood up and hit nice little draws on the range, and then I get to the first hole and I've got to kind of work a little one left to right, and I stand up there and I hit a bit of a double cross that goes left because I've stood on the range and I haven't hit one single shot that way. So I do like to prime a little bit of ball flight control work into the range session before heading off to the short game, just to get those final bits of preparation. Probably a perfect example there. If I had a GC quad down right now and we measured the spin axis on that one, it would have been rightward and it would have had some, it would have shown indoors that there's some fade. We've got a really strong right to left wind out here today. So if in the first hole actually that it plays out there on hoot is exactly in this direction, I don't yet have a sense of what a cut needs to feel like. So this has given me a really good opportunity to calibrate my feel as to what's going to create a shot shape that's going to allow me to obviously hit it out of trouble or towards a target where it's going to require a little bit of shaping. So I'll see if I can exaggerate that a little bit more. The draw was really nice. The fade didn't fade, it was just straight because it was cancelled out by the wind. Let's make sure this one fades. Yeah, really nice little gentle fade working back to the flag. And now I feel like I have a much better feel. I'm calibrated for the shot shapes. I'm a little bit more in tune with my swing as well as to what I'm going to expect today out on the golf course. Now it's time to head to the short game area. All right, guys, we're warm. We are ready to just add a few finishing touches to our warm-up routine. We're over here by the short game facility. We're just going to hit a few chip shots. We're going to just get a little feel for a few different types of shots, position yourself maybe 2 or 3 spots around the green, pitch with a few different clubs, and again, just get comfortable with landing spots, with contact, making sure that we feel like we've got the club sort of releasing and bottoming out at the right spots. All the little pieces of finesse that you're going to rely on once you get out on the golf course. Again, you're not really focused on technique. You really just want to start to dial in your feel. Then once you've got a nice little feel for one type of shot, you've hit maybe 3 or 4 of them, change it up. Don't get stuck standing there hitting the same shot over and over again. We're not doing block practice when we're trying to warm up for a round of golf. We're just trying to give ourselves a little bit of variety, try and experience some of the things that we might see in the golf course. So I'll change up the club now. I'll maybe throw this one a little bit further onto the green, play it a little bit higher. In all honesty, I'm not really that concerned how close these get to the hole. It would be nice if I'm that dialed at this point, but as I say, I'm more focused on low point control, a little bit of contact, making sure where I think I need to land it is calibrated, and if it gets close, it gets close. But we're not judged by our score out in the practice facility. And once you've played a couple to one flag, you know, change your focus. I'll play to one of these lower flags now. Okay, a few different shots, a few different trajectories to a few different targets. That's about all you need to really do once you get to the short game area to have a nice sort of feel for your pitching and your action on the day. So it's time to head to the putting green to finish off the warm-up. All right, guys, last but not least, we're here in the putting green. So if you've seen any of our prior videos on putting, and Casey and I ran through a video a few months back on how to prepare yourself to putt well, to get dialed in the greens before you get on the golf course. My first drill that I like to use when I get on the golf course is just a speed calibration drill. I'll go out to the green, and it depends obviously different greens, different slopes and stuff, but I like something about 40 feet. Here we've got a 2 T-peg split by about 36 feet, and I'm going to just hit a few putts and I'm going to get a little feel for, am I able to sort of calibrate what I see to what my hands feel? So not really, again, I'm not trying to get it that close. It's not about trying to sort of get it close. It's about just trying to dial in the distance. Plenty of looks. Let your eyes sort of take in everything that it can. Okay, get yourself a little bit of a feel. We got a little downhill, then back uphill was a little bit short. So the first set, I will pretty much take everything in with my eyes. Try and make a little subtle adjustment, hit it fractionally harder. Yeah, really, really nice. And then I'll be trying to sort of capitalize on that feel. If I can get that equally as good. Yeah, pretty good. And if I can replicate that 3 times in a row, I know I'm fairly calibrated on the way down on this particular putt. So starting to boost the confidence straight away. First one, I was off by a foot. Took in the information, digested it, made a nice adjustment, and was able to replicate that for the next 3 putts. If you leave yourself a 36-foot putt on the first green and to the target, you've got that, and that left, you'll be really full of confidence for the day. So really nice way to set yourself up. And I'll go back down and I'll hit the opposite way because, you know, again, we've got to see things a little bit differently. It was great that I was able to calibrate this. Now I need to calibrate going the other way, which is slightly different putt. Short. I mean, I felt that off the blade, maybe 18 inches short there. Again, back to making the adjustment. So the first thing I'll register, I would make a mental note. It's all good that when you're hitting 4 putts, you hit the second, third, and fourth putt up to your target, but I didn't hit the first one as close as I wanted to. And I'll make a mental note both times I've left it a little bit short. So I want to try and remember that now and log that probably my feel for the day is going to be I need to hit it marginally harder than I really think that I do. So let's make that adjustment. Nope. Not as good. Okay, slow putt. Really slow putt. Obviously, I've given that one a little bit more. Much better. Ideally, when you're lag putting or when you're putting, we like to see the putt get inside 10% of the overall distance of the first putt. So right here, we had 36 feet to our target. I'd like to see that sort of be inside 3 feet, 3.5 feet for the next putt. That's something that I always think is a good little nugget for people to know. You know, if you've got a 50 footer, 60 footer, 5 and 6 feet inside that is considered respectable. And obviously, the closer we get, we want to make sure we're giving ourselves something inside that 10% range for our next putt if we don't happen to make it. I'm not going to carry out the next phase of the lag putting drills because, again, go back to the video done with Casey, but the next phase is actually to close your eyes and sort of, you know, get a little feel for what you think, how hard you need to hit the putt, and then close your eyes, hit the putt, and then before you open them, say short, good, or long. Give yourself that little bit of a feel for, you know, what did you actually achieve. And then last but not least, really, really good little drill that Braden sort of gave me on this one is, so rather than going from 2 different points, we're just going to take 3 golf balls and finish our speed control priming session with whatever you've got, and you're going to hit one short intentionally. You're going to hit one, so firstly, hit one long intentionally, hit one the right distance intentionally, and then hit one a little bit short. So long being really anything past the tee, that's not out with about 18 inches. Okay, yep, about on our 1.5 foot. Okay, so we're going to hit one pretty much on the tee peg as close as we can now. Okay, good speed control. And last but not least, we're probably trying to get this within 12 inches, but actually keep it a little bit short. Really nice. So doing that again is just giving ourselves the feedback that we're very intentional about every putt we hit. One's trying to be about 18-inch past, one's trying to be on the tee, and one's trying to be about 12 inches short. Once you're able to do that, again, you've got really, really good speed control, that knowing if you've got a putt that breaks in from the left and you have to die it in and you have to be gentle, this putt or this putt is really good. If you've got an uphiller and maybe it's pretty straight and you know that you don't have to really worry about the one coming back, this is a great one. And you can be very intentional about your speed relative to your target. And last but not least, I like to do a little bit of a round the clock drill. Pick something that's got about a 1% slope. This maybe has a hair more than that, but about 1% is enough just to catch your attention, that when it's straight like these two, it's 1% up and 1% down. Move out to the side here, we've got a 1% slope left to right. Again, you can start to integrate a little bit of tour read into this. I can pace that off. We've got one pace. 1 times 2 is 2, minus 1 is 1. So really, we're about 1 inch outside the middle of the hole on this one with good speed. If we're on a 1% slope, I'd say this is maybe a little bit more than that. It's maybe a 2%. So probably 2 inches on the left-hand side of the hole is where I'd hit that. I can start to build my routine into it. And you want to start to build the routine into these ones. So as we approach it, we just want to get really comfortable hitting left to right, right to left, uphill and downhill. Finish off with that and you're ready for the first tee. Good. Okay, so we spent 20 minutes in the range warming up. We've spent 10 minutes on the short game area, hitting some different variety of shots, a variety of different clubs, getting our feel really dialed in. And we've came to the putting green just to finish off our warm up with 10 minutes of speed control drills. We've done a little bit of, again, another speed control drill that's very specific to whether you want to be aggressive, you want to be pretty much dying at the hole, or you want to leave it a little bit short. And then last but not least, we've got a little bit of routine and a little round the clock, round the world drill to finish off with, just to see the ball go in. It's nice to see it go in. It's nice to hear it go in. It's just good to get yourself feeling good, ready for that first tee. So guys, go through that process. And I know not everyone has 40 minutes. Probably a lot of you are watching this going, okay, for you to say you get 40 minutes. If it has to be a shorter version of this, dial it in for your own needs and whatever you can do for that day. But try to stay fairly consistent with the principles of it. If you have less time, that's okay, you've got less time, you're going to hit a few less shots, but don't rush them. Don't go into the driver too soon. Don't come onto the putting green and stand and get frustrated because you haven't made the first 3 putts. Go through a bit of a process, and it doesn't always have to be result orientated on the warm-up, because our purpose of the warm-up is to warm up. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. I think it'll be really beneficial if you can integrate some of it into your own play and into your own game. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you again soon.